Hi everyone, it's Duchess. Today we're diving into the vibrant world of Isekai Chronicles, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, the latest addition to the ever-growing Isekai genre in video games. Developed by ZOC and published by the renowned Bandai Namco Entertainment, this title hit the shelves on August 7, 2024, bringing with it a wave of excitement for fans of the popular anime and light novel series. For those unfamiliar with the source material, That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime follows the adventures of Rimuru Tempest, a former human reborn as a slime in a fantasy world. The game aims to capture the essence of the anime's unique blend of humor, strategy, and world building. In this review, we'll explore how well ZOC has translated the beloved series into an interactive experience. Whether you're a die-hard fan of the series or new to the slime-filled world of Rimuru, stick around as we answer the burning question: does this game successfully bring the charm of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime to life in the gaming world? When it comes to gameplay and mechanics, Isekai Chronicles That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime attempts to wear many hats, perhaps too many for its own good. The game tries to be a dungeon crawler, a visual novel, a town builder, and an action RPG all at once, resulting in an experience that feels scattered and unfocused. At its core, the gameplay borrows heavily from the Tales of series, but it lacks the polish and depth that fans of that franchise might expect. The game is centered around a main hub area where players can engage in town-building elements. Here, you'll expand your initial settlement into a bustling nation by upgrading shops and buildings. These upgrades tie directly into your character's stats, boosting things like luck, magic defense, and attack power. It's a nice idea in theory, but in practice, it feels more like a superficial progression system than a meaningful part of the gameplay. When you venture outside this hub, the game shifts gears into a side-scrolling format. You'll explore moving up and down levels across the screen, uncovering hidden chests, and pushing the story forward. It's during these exploration segments that the game's dungeon crawler aspirations become apparent. However, the execution feels basic and doesn't evolve much as you progress through the game. Combat takes place in these side-scrolling environments, and much like the exploration, it's a straightforward affair. You have your normal attacks and special attacks, with the latter governed by a gauge on the screen. It's functional, but there's no complex system to master here. The combat quickly becomes repetitive, lacking the depth or strategic elements that could have made it more engaging over the long haul. That said, there is one bright spot in the gameplay mechanics: the auto-enhanced passive skill feature. This addition is a genuinely nice touch that streamlines character progression. It automatically upgrades your passive skills as you play, reducing the need for constant menu navigation and allowing players to focus more on the action. While it doesn't completely alleviate the game's other issues, it's a quality of life improvement that shows some thoughtful design. Now let's talk about performance. For the most part, the game runs smoothly at a locked frame rate of 60 FPS, but there are noticeable hiccups. During combat, there were frame rate drops that disrupted the flow of battle. Even more jarring are the animated cutscenes, which run at a significantly lower frame rate than the main gameplay. It's an immersion-breaking issue that really highlights the game's budget constraints. Perhaps the most disappointing aspect is how quickly the game becomes tiresome. After about 5 hours, you will likely have seen all the tricks up the game's sleeve. The gameplay loop becomes predictable, following a pattern that rarely deviates or throws any curveballs along the player's way. This predictability, combined with the repetitive combat and basic exploration, makes for an experience that struggles to maintain player interest. Isekai Chronicles presents a visual and auditory experience that, while competent in some aspects, falls short in others, revealing the constraints of its development and a lack of cohesive design. Visually, the game offers high-resolution graphics with bright, vibrant scenery that appropriately captures the anime aesthetic of its source material. The overall visual fidelity is comparable to that of Tales of Berseria, albeit with indications of a more limited budget. However, the game struggles to maintain a consistent visual identity, instead presenting a jarring mix of conflicting styles that detract from the overall experience. The game employs 3 distinct visual styles that fail to blend harmoniously: a visual novel format for certain story segments, Tales of-inspired character text boxes for dialogue, and fully animated sequences for action scenes. This inconsistency creates a disjointed feel, as if different parts of the game were developed in isolation without a unifying vision. A notable issue arises with the implementation of secret skills during battle sequences. Each use of a secret skill triggers an anime-style cutscene, a design choice that quickly becomes repetitive. These 5 to 6 second sequences, while initially impressive, disrupt the flow of combat and diminish the player's engagement over time, especially since these cutscenes can't be skipped. Furthermore, the disparity in resolution between these cutscenes and the main gameplay creates another layer of visual inconsistency. Character animations during cutscenes and conversation sequences lack the finesse one might expect from a modern JRPG. The game's approach to an in-game dialogue feels outdated and reminiscent of older entries in the genre. This presentation style, while functional, fails to capitalize on the expressive potential of the game's characters and world. The audio component of Isekai Chronicles struggles to distinguish itself. The soundtrack, while serviceable, adheres closely to typical JRPG conventions without offering much in the way of memorable themes or innovative compositions. The music quickly becomes repetitive, failing to evolve or provide variety as the game progresses. A particularly problematic aspect of the audio design is the overuse of a specific sound effect. Koku, 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 koku. This oku sound, employed across various game elements including menus, gameplay, and battle sequences, becomes frustrating to hear with prolonged exposure. The lack of diversity in sound effects suggests either a limitation in resources or a surprising oversight in audio design. The series follows the journey of a typical Japanese salaryman who, after a fatal encounter, is reincarnated in a fantasy world as a slime creature. Named Rimuru Tempest, this unlikely hero possesses unique abilities that allows him to absorb the skills and appearance of those he encounters. As Rimuru navigates this new world, he builds relationships, forms alliances, and eventually establishes his own nation of monsters, all while facing various challenges and adversaries. Isekai Chronicles That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime closely follows the narrative of its source material, beginning with Rimuru's fateful meeting with the dragon Veldora. The game opens with an extensive recap of early anime episodes presented in a visual novel format. This approach, while thorough, may test the patience of series veterans eager to dive into new content. The story and character representations remain faithful to the original series, which is likely to please existing fans. However, this fidelity to the source material comes at a cost. The game clearly targets those already familiar with the slime universe, potentially alienating newcomers who might find the pacing and context challenging to follow without prior knowledge of the show or manga. Voice acting is a highlight, featuring the return of the original Japanese voice cast. Their performances lend authenticity and familiarity to the characters, enhancing the experience for fans of the series. However, it's worth noting that the game is entirely in Japanese, which may disappoint fans of the English dub. A significant oversight in the localization process becomes apparent when interacting with NPCs in the game world. Many NPCs deliver lines of dialogue in Japanese that are not subtitled, leaving non-Japanese speakers in the dark about potentially interesting or important information. This lack of full localization further underscores the game's focus on its Japanese fanbase, potentially at the expense of a broader international audience. As we wrap up our journey through Isekai Chronicles That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, it's clear that this game is a mixed bag of ambitious ideas and flawed execution. After careful consideration of its various elements, I've arrived at a rating of 5 out of 10 for this title. This score reflects the game's struggle to rise above mediocrity despite its potential. At its core, Isekai Chronicles is a love letter to fans of the original series, but one that struggles to stand on its own as a compelling video game experience. The game's visual presentation exemplifies its larger issues. While it offers high-resolution graphics and vibrant scenery that captures the anime's aesthetic, it's marred by a jarring mix of visual styles. The constant shifting between visual novel segments, Tales of inspired dialogue boxes, and fully animated cutscenes creates a disjointed experience that never quite comes together. From an audio standpoint, the game hits some high notes with its voice acting, featuring the return of the original Japanese cast. However, the lack of an English dub option and the untranslated NPC dialogue are significant oversights that limits the game's accessibility to a global audience. The story closely follows the source material, which is both a strength and a weakness. Fans of the series will appreciate the faithful adaptation, but newcomers may find themselves lost without prior knowledge of Rimuru's adventures. When it comes to gameplay, Isekai Chronicles attempts to be a jack of all trades, but ends up mastering none. The town-building elements, side-scrolling exploration, and combat system all feel underdeveloped. Performance issues further mar the experience, with frame rate drops during combat and noticeably lower frame rates during cutscenes breaking immersion. These technical hiccups, combined with the game's overall lack of polish, contribute to a pervasive feeling of a low-budget production. The 5 out of 10 rating encapsulates the game's position as a thoroughly average experience. It's not without its merits, particularly for devoted fans of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime franchise. However, its numerous shortcomings prevent it from achieving greatness or broad appeal. For fans of the series, there's nostalgic value in revisiting familiar characters and storylines in an interactive format. However, those seeking a robust JRPG experience, or newcomers curious about the world of That Time I Got Reincarnated as a Slime, will be better served by exploring other options in the genre, or starting with the original anime or manga. In the end, Isekai Chronicles feels like a mixed opportunity. With the strong source material and the potential of its various gameplay elements, it could have been a standout title. Instead, it settles for being a passable, if forgettable, entry in the ever-growing JRPG game genre. Like its protagonist, the game attempts to absorb various elements from different sources, but unlike Rimuru, it fails to transform them into something greater than the sum of its parts. And that's my take on it. Speaking of different sources, don't forget to check out the link in the description to sign up for Minimap, the awesome all-in-one gaming community platform that provided me with a copy for this review. With Minimap, you can go beyond just reading reviews and actually connect with a thriving community of gamers from around the world, sync up your gaming accounts across all platforms, discover personalized game recommendations based on your preferences, and engage in lively discussions about upcoming titles and more. Their expansive database covers over 150,000 games and features a staggering 3 million user reviews to help you decide what to play next. Their integrated social features, like the ability to create game clubs and chat on Discord, make it easy to find other gamers with the same interests. So if you want to stay ahead of the curve on new and upcoming releases, give Minimap a try using the link down below. See you guys later!